I met two fantastic people from WeShare Spain in Barcelona, Albert Canigaral, founder of the website Consumo Colaborativo, and Cristobal Gracia, events connectors for WeShare. I met them in the co-working place Mob as makers of Barcelona. They are fans of the sharing economy and spread these ideas.
Very often the sharing economy is also mentioned to be just a way to be more efficient with the current technology of the 21st century. So we've been living with the best we could with the technology we had in the past. That's okay, we don't have to blame ourselves for that, but now we can be more efficient. It doesn't make sense to have thousands and thousands of cars parked on the street idle without being used 95% of the time. It doesn't make sense to go to the mines, extract all the materials that you need, all the plastic, all the petrol and all that stuff, the transportation, just to have another car sitting on the street idle for 95% of its time. There are plenty of empty cars. So this is the kind of value that sharing economy can provide to the society, in my opinion.
And also, for example, in Spain, we have 2 million flats empty.
Yes.
So what's the point of having that? And also empty hotels, and so we need to find a more efficient way of these resources, just to use it. And this is what happened through internet. We can use the resources in a more efficient way.
And also, in addition, there was this recent study on BlaBlaCar, the Trustman, that identifies the other important thing, as I mentioned before, about the cultural change, is that at the moment, so far, we were not able to generate trust between strangers because there were not enough tools. Now, with all these platforms, you have enough traceability, enough details, enough information to trust strangers in a very high degree, even more than you can trust your neighbors that you might not know very well. So, and this is really an extremely important cultural change, because you can, with this trust, you can enable collaboration in spaces where it was not possible before.
For me, the most important obstacle is the mindset. I mean, we are educated for competing. We are ready for just trying to find our market and trying to take all this value for us. We have this mindset because we don't trust the others, because we don't have information enough to trust. So I think when you bring this trust factor and you can create trust between a stranger, the mindset can change. So the collaboration can happen, and then through experience, the mindset change.
And there will also be all the incumbents, all the companies that have a privileged position at the moment, let's say the taxis, the hotels, that they will feel threatened by all these social innovations and these business models that are really improving their business model, and they don't know what to do. The usual reaction will be to attack in order to defend their position, and that will create some noise and some bad press probably to some of these services. That's already happening. So this is something that will obviously slow down a little bit the adoption of these services, but that happened with any innovation. I always explain that in the past the women were not able to vote, and I'm sure that at that point of time there was a lot of debate if the women were allowed or should be allowed to vote. That was a social innovation. So we are facing similar situation because it's new. There will be people against and people for, and it will be a natural evolution. But it's not like we can. Most of these companies, again, going back to the social innovation point, are obviously creating some conflicts with the current regulation system, because the current regulation system was made to work with a traditional hyper-consumption and traditional capitalism system. So they are creating some tensions. The good thing or the interesting thing with collective consumption, as with most of the so-called digital capitalism, is that you don't even ask for permission to do things. So Wikipedia did not ask for permission to do what they did, or Creative Commons were created without asking for it, or Napster or Spotify. They just did something that was better. And they were faster probably than the law, and then the law needs to adapt and to find a balance. What is important is to have regulation, because to have unregulated services, it's very insecure for everybody participating in this movement. So it's good to have all these startups that are creating these tensions, and they are trying to find the limits, and they identifying the crucial points where there is tension. But it's important at some point, as soon as possible, to start setting limits to, okay, maybe if you need to rent your apartment, you need to be there. Otherwise, you really compete with hotels or apartments. So it's or if you are doing a carpooling, you cannot do it more like every day. You can find sometimes in the systems people who go do the same trip every 2 days. That's kind of probably like cheating the system. You are trying to do a parallel business, which is not the aim of the service. So it's good to have regulation to limit this kind of abuse of the system. It will be. I'm not sure you can mimic. First of all, money and the way we know money today, it embeds too many things in one single medium of exchange, the value. So it has too many roles. I would say that trust will be an enabler. So if you are not trustworthy, you will not be allowed to participate in the system. So that will be a condition. But I'm not sure it's something you can spend. So money, you spend money. When you have trust, you don't really spend trust. You accumulate trust, and you can lose your trust at once if you make a big mistake, and that will be registered. But that's different in the way that money operates. That's why I don't like to mimic exactly money with trust. So it will be an enabler, but it will not act as a currency for me. Obviously, it's a new topic. I'm not a futurist or anything like that. So, but it's not exactly.
We are futurists.
No, we are presentists. We will see.
I think it will be also developed where is the need of change. So the country who has more crisis, they will need more innovation, and then the collaborative economy will grow faster.
It will be also in countries. There is a nice study of a research center here from Barcelona. It's called Crea Futur. They did a research about the future of consumers. It's called Outlook 2012. And one of the conclusions is they have the countries in three colors. The yellow, which are still they still believe in hyperconsumption, like China, Brazil. So they still need to go through the pain of the end of hyperconsumption. They are in the middle of hyperconsumption at the moment. They're spending the growth, the GDP is growing, and all that. Then we have the countries in red color. They define like France, Spain, basically most of Europe, the States. We have a headache. We have
like a
hangover of hyperconsumption. So in these countries where the people will be more sensible to these changes. And then you have the so-called blue countries, that would be more the Nordic countries in Europe, that they've already gone through that. They are not in hyperconsumption, and these services will just part of, probably they already do that, and because they do that very naturally, they don't even talk about it. So when you do something very naturally, you stop talking about it. Nobody talks more about barcodes, because barcodes are everywhere. So at some point, collective consumption will be everywhere, and people will not talk about it as something strange or new.
Yeah, it will be like a daily way of living. I think what we would like to do with this We Share Fest is just bringing awareness about the collaborative economy in a bigger way. Because for now we do events in a local cities, and then we are just making some noise. But I think it is the time to make a big noise with a festival. And also what we like to do with We Share is to bring entrepreneurs together. And we do it in a local basis, but why not bring all the entrepreneurs that we know in the cities to Paris together, so they can create synergies and networking and learn from everyone in Europe, and also from the States. because there are people coming for there. So I think it's very important to make like, I think it's a natural step for WeShare from little events, making a bigger, and this one is like a party for the collaborative economy, so everybody can be there and just share experiences from the last month or year, and just enjoy and learn from each other.
No, and a lot of people, I think, will also have the first time understanding of the whole collaborative economy. So usually here we talk more about collaborative consumption, which is, as I said before, the gate, the entry door to all this cultural change of collaborative economy. And I think the festival will be a nice event to have this global scope, not only on consumption, but on makers, on production, on open knowledge with Hack Your PhD and other projects, also on finance. So the whole spectrum, the whole scope of projects that are, or the changes that are implied with a new collaborative mindset.
I mean, if you want to know what's going to happen in the future, you have to be there, because I think it's the future and the changes. We are going to talk about that in the WeShare Fest. So if you want to be updated what's going to come in the next years, you should be there.
And even to know what's going on right now, not even in the future.
That's
So
true.
it doesn't have to go into the future, it has to be...
It's now.
It's now.
Thank you very much.